I'd like to call to order the Kaiser City Council and regular session. It is Monday. Let's start over. I'd like to call to order the Kaiser City Council and regular session. It is Monday, June 7th, 2021, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Day?
Here.
Councilor Kohler?
Here.
Councilor Herrera?
Here.
Mayor Clark?
Here.
Council President Smith?
Here.
Councilor Reed?
Here.
And Councilor Duran?
Here.
Thank you. If you are able, please rise and all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. We don't have anything tonight under special orders of business, so I'll be going to committee reports. We have two folks here from our city committees. We'll start off with the Art Commission report, and Andrea Madison is here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. We'd like to give you a report on the latest and greatest of what's going on with Keizer Arts Commission. The Arts Commission heard testimony from artist DDA Planell, hope I got his name right, who works primarily in mosaic, and we suggested he consider doing some cultural art mosaic in Chalmers Jones Park near the Splash Park. And we also heard testimony from artist Enrique Sepulveda, who specializes in urban art and is interested in painting a utility box. He also shared an idea for Urban Street Art Festival, but we urged him to connect with the chamber and possibly make this a part of the Kaiser Fest. The next order was we approved artwork from Larry Gross that is currently on display, and renewed the contract with Boucher's Jeweler for the ring sculpture on River Road. The commission also moved a motion to recommend City Council approve the installation of a Sasquatch at Keizer Rapids Park. It's a popular one. I believe there's a couple of pictures that may be in your packet.
Yeah.
Great. The next item was the commission also moved a motion to make a recommendation to Finance Director Tim Wood that we purchase the new eagle sculpture if the funding can be found. And the new eagle sculpture, I don't know if you've all seen it, but it's right at the corner of Chamala and River.
It's amazing.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
The signage for the cultural history poles is almost complete. It is hoped that a dedication ceremony can be held this summer when the signs are installed. And most importantly, the work on the Arts Master Plan is almost complete. So that was a big one for us to get through. We're just about there. And the plans are underway for the Insta Art display in Keizer Rapids Park near the Big Toy. The project's being done by the Arts Commission Youth Liaison, Isabella Bionde. So we're really excited about that. And I believe Sherwin-Williams donated some paint already. So we're just checking into if they're gonna also donate some supplies. The commission is hoping to start buying artwork for a permanent display in the gallery if they have funds in their budget at the end of the year, end of the fiscal year, which as I understand it runs July to June, or June, July. They would choose from displays from each fiscal year. And that's the end of our report for today. Any questions?
Lots going on. Questions?
Yeah.
The eagle, oh my gosh. Everybody that I have heard talk about that piece has been so moved, so excited. It is a magnificent piece of artwork, very inspirational and positive, and it's just been a fantastic ad. Do you want to talk to us a little bit? I don't think that's the only piece that we have by that artist, am I correct? Is that Jim Johnson?
Yeah, no, we don't.
No, it's, yeah,
Which,
several. There's several.
There's two or three.
yeah, there's
There's
two or three. I can't remember where they are.
Well, the dragon and then the
Oh,
kind of
the-
angel.
the dragon and the angel?
They're
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, there's a few of them in the city, and he does great work.
Well, I think he has just topped himself, which is no small feat. Counselor Day, and then Counselor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring this up or if I should go to the Public Arts Commission meeting and bring it up. But when we were on our parks tour and we were visiting the skate park over here, one of the things that some of the users of the skate park had suggested or requested is that the skate park actually be painted. And apparently this is a thing in the skating community where they actually have artists who paint the skate parks. And the reason why they paint them, aside from just being there, a flat surface, I guess, is because the skaters, when they're doing their videos, whatever they are, like to have all that color in the background. And the unique, distinctive artwork kind of tells people where they're at. And they asked us during our parks tour if that was something that we could make happen.
Really?
And I've been meaning to ask somebody what the steps are to get that at least in front, under consideration. So I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up or.
Well,
But
I
I'll
can
bring
point
it
you in
up.
the right direction, if I may
Please.
answer, Madam Mayor. Yeah, what you would do is go to the Kaiser website, the Kaiser City website, and fill out the form.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, otherwise, I might know somebody here that can probably help you fill that out.
Okay, all righty, great, thank you.
You're welcome. We also did talk to Enrique Sepulveda. Enrique specializes in urban art, and I think that might be a perfect medium for him and a place for him. So
Great.
let's think about that a little bit
Yeah.
more. Yeah. Thank you.
Counselor Kohler, and I'll go to Counselor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Microphone.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You mentioned something about purchasing the
Yes.
eagle. What is involved in that?
Well, I
Quantify,
Oh, sure.
please.
Hang on just one moment. So the commission is hoping to start to buying artwork permanently on display. One of the items is that eagle, and if the funding can be found, and I believe there was mention of some federal funding that could be found to purchase that art. And if you'd like, I can submit a complete request or maybe a reply to you via email on what our thoughts were on that.
That would be fine.
Okay.
If you don't want to do it in open meeting.
May I suggest that you get that to Tim Wood, so the staff can review it, and then they can put something in the packet for us to consider.
Yeah, excuse me, there was some federal funding and then also some grant money. So we'll probably have to expound on that a little bit more than just my little report. But that's a great question, and we'll be happy to respond via email.
Yeah, that would be great to get all of that information to Tim, and then
sure.
he'll be able to coordinate anything having to do with, that's what I get for going on vacation, especially on the federal funding piece.
Right.
So that would be the most helpful. And then follow up?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. And then you mentioned that the Bouchers are sponsoring one of the pieces of artwork. Is that an annual sponsorship, or is that, what is the time period for that? And are other pieces of art being sponsored in the same way?
Yes, that's done through contract, and I believe that's an annual contract. we'd like to move that it's a little bit longer, but I believe it's an annual contract. And so, yes, all the other art commissions are being handled in that fashion.
Perfect, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Andy mentioned, the Enrique Sepulveda artist that came to address the commission had also, we'd also kind of pointed him in the direction of the splash pad as perhaps a project there. And so, you know, if we could get that happening along with the skate park, that might be just fabulous, so.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I appreciate that you have finally got a chance to meet with Mr. Didier Planel. For folks who haven't seen his work on Facebook, I'd encourage you to do that. He is a professional mosaic artist from Puerto Rico who lives in the north part of Kaiser, and his work is absolutely, world class. It would be amazing to be able to work with him on a commissioned piece for our community.
Right, we did as a committee refer him to go take a look at that park area and submit his ideas.
Fabulous. Councilor Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, just to clarify, I misspoke. It was the Didier.
Didier.
We thought of to do a mosaic in the splash pad. So, sorry, I misspoke on that. Just to clarify.
Well, our community has so much great talent available to us, and I'm really excited we have the opportunity. The other group I hope that we can connect with, especially if we start looking at street art or some of our youth art, might be with the work group for community engagement. Talk about ways we can bring in some of the young folks that use the skate park. They also have some ideas that might be able to help refine some opportunities at the skate park, how that painting and both the artistic expression, but also, they were really clear, this is branding. They were talking about marketing when they were talking to us about this. This wasn't like, oh, wouldn't that be cool if I painted it this color? Oh, no, they were thinking much bigger.
Yeah.
They understand that this is a branding for this site because it's good for, them to be identified with the city of Kaiser in this location, and they felt it would be good for the community that that kind of quality and that presence in that marketing area would be a plus for us. I love their thinking. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity to connect with some of the, the folks that utilize the skate park as we develop that.
Great suggestion.
All right. Anything else on the public arts? Fabulous. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
David Dempster for Traffic Safety Bike Ped. Good to see you.
Good to see all of you again. I'm just not going to go into too much detail what we covered because you all got the minutes also. But we're doing that traffic pedestrian flag program. We're still mulling that over, and you'll get more information on that. So it's kind of almost controversial. These are more items we discussed. We discussed the Wheatland multi-road, the new plans for Wheatland Road, and some questions about how wide the bike lanes are. And I wanted to remind, I don't know, most of you know this, that Kaiser is on the Willamette Valley Scenic Bikeways. Comes right through Kaiser, and they've done some surveys and reports on how much monetary value that used to be worth. I don't know about the last summer, but used to be worth to the cities when they went through the town. We're discussing things like sidewalks come up every 2 or 3 weeks for one reason or other. We're always looking for some way to get more sidewalks put in, what type of sidewalks, where we could do it. The one thing that did come up was kind of interesting. Somebody brought up a sidewalk maintenance fee to be citywide. That didn't last very long. It was kind of, majority didn't want to even think about that. We did discuss the fact that the state's turning over the right to the city to set the speed limits on roads such as River Road, Wheatland Road. Normally the state sets those, if you're not familiar with that. And now the state's turning that, ODOT's turning that over to the cities. So we could theoretically just an example, increase the speed limit to 5 miles per hour, or decrease it 10 miles an hour, whatever, whatever you want to do. Not that that's going to happen, but you are getting the right to do that. We're discussing the Community Paths Program, the city interconnectivity between the neighborhoods. And if you're feeling, what keeps coming up as examples like around where I live, that if you want to go to the house of the person who lives on the other side of the fence, you have to walk 7 blocks. And the neighborhood should be a little more connected for people, since we have an increase in bicycle and walking now, that you can get through from one neighborhood to another without too much trouble. We're also doing safe routes to parks, and we'll be meeting with the Park Commission to discuss some things. Safe routes to school, Salem Kaiser School District, I think that's who hired the safe routes to school coordinator. She didn't do much this year, obviously, but just some big plans coming up for next year about things that she would be involved in. So that's how we spent a lot of the federal grant to pay for her salary for several years. That's about it. Bicycles, helmets programs, we haven't done any of those normal activities that we do, giving away helmets. We're still working with the police department for kids who come in who need helmets. And for some reason or other, they were noticed not having helmets, and we provide those for low-income people. And we also usually accept donations to provide helmets to people. So that's still, we'll probably do a lot more of that next fall when school starts up again. Any questions?
Questions? I would like to add a little something on the Safe Routes to School coordinator. Yes, schools were, they were only open part of the year. However, the coordinator was quite busy working on projects and outreach about safe routes to travel. So they were doing some broader work rather than specifically to and from school. Safe routes to park, and then other safety projects that the coordinator was working on. So it was not an idle year for the coordinator. So I just want to put that out there. The coordinator is housed at the Willamette Valley Council of Governments and works for the school district there, but is it's a collaboration between the school district and the COG. So just to get that out there for folks, so that they want to look up some of the other projects that are coming down for families to walk and bike safely. The information is at that website. Anything else for Mr. Dempster? All right, always good to see you, sir. Thank you. Anyone else, any other committee reports? Did I miss anybody for a committee report? All right, on any others, you'll have to listen to us. Okay, public comment. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We have 5 public hearings this evening. An ordinance setting water rates 2022, repealing ordinance 2019-804. Public hearing on resolution amending the City of Kaiser Police Services fee, repealing resolution R 2017-2787. A public hearing on resolution declaring the city's election to receive state revenues, and resolution certifying that the City of Kaiser provides 4 or more municipal services. Public hearing on resolution certification of lighting district assessments, and resolution adopting the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget, making appropriations, imposing, categorizing taxes. So if you want to speak to any of those, please make sure you have signed up on one of the sheets in the back. And I do have one person signed up for public testimony, and that's Mr. Rich Rodriguez, to talk about the climate crisis. Rich?
Good evening, Council, Ms. Mayor, citizens, those viewing from home. I'm here to talk about the climate crisis. Before I do, just a couple quick comments. Art is awesome. Wouldn't it be grand if we had a statue of an indigenous person standing next to Thomas Keizer? I always ask myself, What is the rifle that Thomas Kaiser has next to him intended to kill? Sidewalks are generally abominable in the city, and you could just walk around City Hall and you'll discover that. And we bumped into each other a week or two ago, Ms. Mayor, and I'm sure you can agree to that. So as I mentioned, I'm here to talk about the climate crisis. I'm just a financial MBA guy, engineer guy, and I like data and facts. I like to read comprehensive annual financial reports for amusement and learn about how governments do their business. Today I read on Bloomberg that CO2 is anticipated to rise at the highest level in 4 million years. We need to stop burning stuff. We need to stop burning stuff. We do need to stop burning stuff. Together, we talked about the loss of the Clark Glacier here in Oregon. Together, we talked about the increasing CO2 emissions from the city's vehicle fleet. Together, we talked about establishing a sustainability committee. Now, as a draft city resolution on declaring a climate crisis is about to be presented, I ask, besides Councilors Reed and Herrera, what other councilors should a draft resolution be directed to for further refinement? That's the end of my prepared statement.
All right, thank you very much. If you have information you would like to send to council, if you would get that to Tracy Davis, and then she will distribute to council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from anybody?
All right, thank you. Anyone else like to address council this evening under public testimony? All right, let's start our public hearings, and we will begin at the top of the order, item 7A, open a public hearing on ordinance to setting water rates 2022, repealing ordinance number 2019-804. City Manager Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. As discussed during the Long Range Planning Committee meetings, as well as during the Budget Committee meetings, the budget that we'll be considering tonight does include a 4% water rate increase. This rate increase is based off of a cost of service analysis. That analysis projects into the future revenues and expenses and ensures that we have enough resources available to complete our master plan while not sacrificing our current services. So with that, a 4% system-wide increase effective January 1st, 2022 will bring in an estimated $52,000 in additional revenue in fiscal year 21-22. To put that into a little bit of perspective, for a typical residential family, that'll be an annual cost increase of $7.08. For a multifamily, that'll be an annual increase of $68.64. And for a typical commercial business, it'll be an increase of $21.12. With that, if you have any additional questions, I'd be free to address those. Staff's recommendation is that you do adopt the attached resolution. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report? Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser
Madam
City...
Mayor?
Oh, sorry.
You need to check with the audience there.
Yeah, I will have to, sorry, my bad. There was nobody signed up under, that's what happens when I'm out of sync.
I did the same thing.
That's right.
You have to close the hearing.
I do have to close the hearing, But before I do that, I don't have anyone signed up to testify on this this evening. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to testify on this issue before I close the public hearing? Seeing none, any further questions by City Council before I close the public hearing? Public hearing is now closed. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt a bill for an ordinance setting water rates 2022, repealing ordinance number 2019-804.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt a bill for an ordinance 2021. Boy, I really need to not go on vacation. Setting water rates 2022, repealing ordinance number 2019-804. Discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. All right, let's go on to item 7B, open a public hearing. Resolution amending the City of Kaiser Police Services Fee, repealing Resolution R 2017-2787. City Manager Pro Tem.
Madam Mayor, City Council, again, as discussed during the Long Range Planning Committee and also the Budget Committee meetings, we are recommending an increase in the police services fee. This will be the first fee increase associated with this service since the fee was implemented in 2017. We are recommending a $1 increase for single duplex families and commercial accounts, and that will result in an increase of about $12 a year for additional police services. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Chief Teague to get a little bit of background.
You know, I had a prepared statement, but it takes 3.5 minutes. I told Tim I'd stick to 2, so I'm going to try to do that. I want to tell you what this does for us. If you think about cops in general, you usually think about uniformed cops or detectives. But in reality, there's this big gap in the middle, and that's where we spend most of our attention, is on this gap. We react to crime necessarily because we have to react to crime. But that isn't all we do, and it's not all we want to be seen to be doing, is responding to crime and then with patrol officers and cleaning up the mess with detectives. It's this gap between the two where we prefer to invest our time and our resources so that we can identify problems and figure out how to prevent them from recurring or prevent them from happening again or happening in the first place. I told you in the budget docs that we have about 19,000 policing activities every year. It takes resources to glean through that 19,000 plus or minus a few thousand activities and figure out where the trends are and figure out how we can exploit the solutions to those problems. It takes resources to have people who have the time, the resources, and the authority to solve those problems. Patrol officers simply don't have the time to do it. By the way, you hear a lot about community policing, but the community policing model has a component called SARA. It's scan, assess, respond, or scan, analyze, respond, and assess. But community policing, research has shown, does not markedly decrease the crime rate. And the reason why is because it relegates the problem solving to patrol officers. And again, they lack the time, the resources, and the authority to solve problems. You've got to have dedicated sources to do that. And we do at Kaiser. That's why Kaiser feels different. That's why Kaiser looks different. And that's why Kaiser is different. And we are grateful to the community and to the City Council and the Budget Committee for recommending that we continue to provide that service to this city. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. Okay, questions on the staff report? Oh, Councilor Herrera.
I just want to follow up on Chief Teague's, and I've worked around with different police departments and different capacities, and we are very fortunate in Kaiser to have, a city of our size would have twice as many, at least. But what really impresses me is the problem-solving, proactive approach that we take here at Kaiser, and I've witnessed it firsthand. People like Andrew Copeland, Lieutenant Copeland, he's a good front man. The folks that they have the right idea as far as approaching the public and solving problems. I think that the goal with our police department is not punitive, it's educational and prevention. And I see that in our community, and I think that it's, we first did this in 2017, and we need to keep this going. I like the way we operate. I think our leadership has showed us that the policing works here in Kaiser. I've been asked about SROs, I've been asked about that, and I always say the same thing. It works in Kaiser. It works in Kaiser, and that's my 2 cents on that. I have a lot of admiration for the way they've been doing it, and I would like to continue that, and that's why I fully support our police force and the folks that do this great problem solving in our community. That's my 2 cents on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, may I respond to that?
Chief?
Sure. I appreciate that. Councilor Herrera, I want to make a comment for the public. If Kaiser PD, with this 38,000 people that live here, if we were staffed at the state average,
Yeah.
we would have 56 police officers. I'm sorry, 61 police officers. If we were staffed at the national average, we would have 88 police officers. We do what I think is a pretty good job, and we're satisfied to have 42 police officers. We're grateful for that. And you mentioned Andrew Copeland. Andrew Copeland is one of 3 pieces that really drive problem-oriented policing in Kaiser. That's Andrew Copeland, the patrol lieutenant, that's our crime analyst, and that's crew. Thank you very much for the opportunity to say that.
Councilor Day?
I would just like to correct Chief Teague. You guys don't do a pretty good job. You guys do an outstanding job. And the reason why the city of Kaiser is such a great place to live and raise a family, for the most part, is because of the job that you guys do. Pretty good doesn't even begin to accurately describe. You guys are unbelievable what you do, and it means it's everything to myself and to my family, and I think for all the citizens of Kaiser.
Well, Madam Mayor, may I respond to that too?
Chief?
I tell you, down to a person, we have good cops. We hire people based on their character, on their courage, their consciousness, their empathy, their humility, and their helpfulness. That's who a Kaiser cop is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions on the staff report? Anyone in the audience would like to testify in this public hearing? I have no one signed up. Mr. Rodriguez, you will come up to the microphone.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens, and those viewing on media. I've not read the report, so my apology in advance. I like to read stuff in advance, my apology. But I do have a couple questions. Has the increase been expressed as a percentage from point A to point B? And what I mean by that is, has the increase been expressed as 5% from 2005 to the present on an annualized basis? I mean, is it just a year-over-year basis? How much is this increase on a percentage basis? And I'd like to know if the increase is going to be going towards personnel increases or materials and services increases or fuel increases, which I think we're anticipating because we did a projection on CO2 emissions, fuel will be increasing. Or is some of the increase going towards pension?
Mr. Wood, would you like to answer those 2 questions, please?
Sure. This is the first.
Oh, you have another question?
No, there's 4 questions.
Oh, okay. Would you like to have them one at a time or all at once?
Let's do them one at a time, it's usually easier. Number 1 is the increase percentage.
Right.
What is the span from, what's the base to the
Mr. Wood?
A to B?
From November 2017 until January 2022, it'll be a 25% increase.
And that would be what on an annualized basis? You just divide it out.
It would be $12,
On a percentage basis?
or 25%.
25% on it per year?
No,
Over
that would be
4
the
years.
entire time.
Divided by about 4 years.
Mr. Rodriguez? You mentioned 2005. This was a fee that was instituted in 2017. So
Right.
we're working on a shorter time frame. And this is the first increase.
Right, but I'm just looking for what the the annualized increases on a percentage basis?
Well, I suppose if we looked at the annual increase, it would be I shouldn't do math in public, but about 6.5%.
6.5%?
Yeah.
And I'm the same way with doing math in public, and I'm a finance guy, so I understand.
Where's my calculator?
Yeah. So about 5% on an annualized basis, which is above the rate of inflation for the last few years. I just wanted to make that point. Thank you. The next question is with regards to the categories that are anticipated. Are they allocated primarily towards personnel, materials and services, fuel, or pension?
The answer would be yes. It includes all of those.
Covers all.
Is there a breakdown available on those categories?
I believe it's included in the annual budget.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to address the council on this matter for the police fee increase? Councilor Herrera?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Don't we review this every year on the police fee?
Yes, we do.
Okay, that's something you should know. We do go over it every year.
Yes, it's been, yeah,
And
you're
it's been 4
absolutely
years
correct.
since we
We made an increase, and also to be clear, this is something that has a separate page in the budget, so we can account for these funds separately from the general fund dollars. And they were passed by the city council to fund 5 positions. So it's level of service within the police department. So we can make sure that we have the level of service necessary, because with the general fund dollars we were receiving via the property tax, we were not able to keep up with the level of service we as a council believed appropriate. And under the advice of the chief of what would be an appropriate level, the council did pass the fee. We've been able to, we knew that a time would come when the cost for maintaining those positions would exceed the $4 per month, and that time has come. And with pencil sharpening and a lot of really good work on the part of the finance department and the police department, the initial expectation that we would be increasing it by possibly $2 per month was reduced to $1. And that was the recommendation that was brought to the budget committee. And that was the recommendation that has been forwarded to us as the council. Did I get that right?
That is correct, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Anyone else who would like to address the council on this issue? Council, anybody have additional questions? I'm going to close public hearing. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, amending the City of Kaiser Police Services fee, repealing Resolution R 2017-2787.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, amending the City of Kaiser Police Services fee, repealing Resolution R 2017-2787. Further discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. Item 7C, resolution declaring the city's election to receive state revenues, and resolution certifying that the City of Kaiser provide 4 or more municipal services. The public hearing is now open. City Manager Pro Tem.
Madam Mayor, City Council, Oregon law requires that cities annually pass a resolution requesting state revenue sharing money. State law also requires us to certify that we provide 4 or more municipal services, because we reside in a county that has over 100,000 inhabitants. We're expected to bring in $397,000 in state revenue sharing during fiscal year 2021-22. With that, staff recommends that you open up the public hearing to receive any testimony from residents regarding the use of those funds. If there is no comments, then close the hearing and adopt the 2 resolutions, and both resolutions have to be adopted by themselves. And with that, if there are any questions?
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council on this issue? I have no one signed up for public testimony. Going once, going twice. Councilors, any additional information that you need before I close the public hearing? The public hearing is now closed. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, declaring the city's election to receive state revenues.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, declaring the city's election to receive state revenues. Discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. Council President Smith, the second one. Certifying.
Oh, sorry. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, certifying that the city of Kaiser provides 4 or more municipal services.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, certifying that the city of Kaiser provides 4 or more municipal services. Discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to item 7D, resolution certification of lighting district assessments. The public hearing is now open. City Manager Pro Tem.
Madam Mayor, City Council, on an annual basis, I bring to you a listing of all of the street lighting districts. The city has over 200 districts that we account for on a reimbursement basis. The city fronts the money, and then as part of the property tax certification process, we assess those amounts to each individual residence. This year, the total calculated was $403,399. That compares to last year at $404,744. With that, if there's any questions, I'd be free to address those. Otherwise, I recommend that you close the public hearing, or take public testimony, close the hearing, and then adopt the attached resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report?
Madam Mayor, I'd just like to thank Mr. Wood for his illuminating staff report. Thank you, I'll be here all night.
All right.
It is
And
a bright
universal
light.
groan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Day. Mr. Rodriguez, you had a comment.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Thank you, Council, and those viewing at home. Thank you, General Manager Pro Tem. It was mentioned that there's over 200 lighting districts, if I understood that correctly. It may be a prudent exercise to look at consolidating those districts for cost savings purposes. And that's really my comment. If that's possible, it may serve the city to consolidate those districts.
Thank you. Yes, that has come up before. And Mr. Wood, do you want to respond?
I think if there's cost savings to be had, we would definitely do that. It does present a challenge, as each district would require an individual vote by the assessment holders within their district. So it does, if we could figure out how to do it, I think we would.
A good challenge. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Also, if I recall correctly, we've been able to realize some cost savings for the ratepayers because of the conversion to LED in partnership with, I believe it's PGE, and also Salem Electric, or is PGE?
PGE and Salem Electric. Both of them have been great partners to deal with. Interestingly enough, the assessments have pretty much been the same for about 4 or 5 years. We did do the changeover to the energy efficient light bulbs 4 or 5 years ago, and things really have, the assessments are almost pretty consistent every year, so.
Yeah, I've noticed that improvement and being able to keep the energy costs low, but I remember when they came and made the presentation on making that conversion to the LED. All right, any other questions or anybody else who would like to address the council on this matter? Yes, come on up. If you just state your name and for the record, so Tracy has it. I know.
It's okay. I'm Catherine Stone. I live in Kaiser. I don't even know if this is appropriate here, but I just want to bring this out. Portland General Electric, you mentioned, we have Salem Electric, which is part of that. But I've been getting calls from Portland General Electric scamming, that they're calling about late fees or something to this effect. And I called Salem Electric and they said that's a scam. And so I just want to make people aware of that. I'm just concerned about people in the area that might be threatened by that and might not understand that, you know, they're coming from every angle for us lately. So I just wanted to put that out there. So I don't know that anything could be done about it, but just so people are aware.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. You're right. Awareness is really, really important to protect ourselves from scams. I know Portland General Electric and Salem Electric, all of our utilities work very hard to get good information out and remind people not to respond. Comcast I get a whole slew of ones from Comcast trying to get me to log in and compromise my password. It's not from Comcast, it's from impersonators.
Right.
And thank you. Awareness is so important.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. The ones posing as Amazon or posing as Social Security and so forth and so on. So I think protecting, especially our some of our maybe less computer savvy neighbors, but even really computer savvy people, these people are good. You can get taken in. So thank you for that. That was good. Good to remember. Anyone else want to address the council this evening on this particular matter, on the street lighting districts? Councilors, any additional information before I close public hearing? The public hearing is now closed. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt a resolution R 2021, certification of lighting district assessments.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt resolution R 2021, certification of lighting district assessments. Discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. Last but definitely not least, public hearing on resolution adopting fiscal year 2021-22 budget, making appropriations, and imposing and categorizing taxes. The public hearing is now opened. City Manager Pro Tem.
Madam Mayor, City Council, I just want to express my appreciation to the Budget Committee as well as to the City Councilors. The budget process does take quite a bit of time, and it is collapsed into about a week's time period. So it is a significant commitment for everyone involved. On May 4th and May 6th, the Budget Committee convened. They heard the City Manager's budget message. We also received public testimony. The Budget Committee deliberated and they approved the City Manager's recommended budget, which is presented to you tonight. At this point, you have the option. You can amend the budget estimates. You can adopt the budget as presented. If you do intend to make any changes, we are limited to no more than 5,000 or 10% of the estimated expenditures, whichever is greater. You also have the option of adjusting the tax rate. You can adjust it down, but you can adjust it higher than what the Budget Committee has recommended, and the Budget Committee has recommended our full tax rate that is available to us. Included in the budget, as required, is an annual review of the police services fee that we talked about earlier. In addition, it included a review of the park services fee, and as we discussed, there is no changes to the park services fee. Staff recommends that City Council receive any public testimony on the budget. After all testimony has been received, that you deliberate and adopt the attached resolutions. With that, if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions on the staff report? Okay. Is there anybody who would like to testify this evening in this public hearing? I don't have anybody signed up. Going once, going twice. Councilors, any additional information that you need before I close the public hearing? Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to say I have a nephew that's a CPA that's doing and working with large budgets, and he happened by and I shared with him our city budget, and he looked at and he just went, wow, this is really good. So I know that you get your annual awards, but some additional kudos from other CPAs I thought were appropriate. Thank you, Mr. Wood.
Well, thank you. It is a group effort, so it's the entire department head team and the budget committee as well, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other information before I close public hearing? Public hearing is now closed. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, adopting the fiscal year 2021-22 budget, making appropriations, and imposing and categorizing taxes.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, adopting fiscal year 2021-22 budget, making appropriations, and imposing and categorizing taxes. Discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. That concludes this evening's public hearings. We'll now go to administrative action, item 8A, location approval for public sculpture and carving. City Manager Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. Shannon Johnson, City Attorney.
Thank you, Tim, Madam Mayor and Council. As you could tell from the report from the Kaiser Public Arts Commission, the issue of the Sasquatch has come up, and under our policy, council chooses location for artwork. The commission, or KPAC, had two locations, and there's pictures of Kim Steen and Clint Holland standing in similar but not quite identical locations by the patio, and Bill might be able to help you with that exact location. I'm having trouble picturing it, but I remember it's right around the amphitheater. They requested the council approve the location for the Sasquatch, and they recommend either of those. The Public Works Director recommends the location where Kim Steen is standing. So the request is for council to review the matter, and if you deem it appropriate, make a minute motion to approve the exact location. If you want to approve it where Kim Steen is standing, you can just refer to that photo. And that concludes the location issue. The estimated cost of $1,500 is already funded through the non-departmental KPAC budget. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, questions on the staff report? So, Councilor Fuller?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one question about maintenance of that. What do we have to do to keep that maintained?
I haven't heard any report from KPAC on maintenance. I know that they typically would do, and I believe it's wood, Bill, they would do a sealant on that. It will require occasional maintenance. I think it'll be fairly minimal, and it would come out of KPAC's budget.
Any other questions? So I've got one. That is an area where we've talked about doing improvements for more of a food cart option going forward. Is that going to get in the way?
No. The actual location is kind of west and kind of north of the existing snack shack that's out there. As you can see in the picture, there's two big fir trees there. Anything that would have a place for the food carts would be more in the open area where the former charge house was located.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on the staff report? Or the issue? Okay, Council President Smith?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that we approve the public sculpture carving for the location where Kim Steen is standing.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that Kaiser City Council approve the location of the sculpture referencing the photo where Kim Steen is standing. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. Item 8B is a resolution delegating authority to the city manager and city attorney to negotiate agreement in connection with the national opioids litigation. City Manager Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. Shannon Johnson, City Attorney.
Thank you, Tim, Madam Mayor and Council. I was contacted a few weeks ago by one of the senior deputy city attorneys for Portland. They were calling a variety of cities and counties, specifically the 38 largest cities and counties in Oregon. to indicate whether we would join with them, not as actual parties, which I would have concern about because that can lead all sorts of directions, but to join them in support of the concept for the opioid litigation, to support direct payment to the city and counties rather than payment through the state. And I've talked to some colleagues about that. It seems like a good idea. As you can see the list there, and the staff report's a little lengthy, so I won't go through all the details in it, but the city of Portland and and several of the counties have joined in multi-party litigation against the opioid manufacturers and wholesalers. And that's gone into what's called a large multi-district litigation format and complex negotiations with those parties. The actual manufacturers support this too. They feel it'll get more direct money where it should go. So they are trying to line up support for that. And I felt it was appropriate that this would be a council matter. Some cities are doing it at the administration level, but I thought it would be appropriate to bring to you folks. My recommendation is to adopt the resolution. There's no cost involved to the city, and I think will lead to a better outcome. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions? So I've got one. These funds, would they be specifically targeted for particular types of uses, or are they a general fund?
They would most likely have strings attached to them, that will be part of the negotiations.
So if they
it'll be-
are, let's say they are related to treatment or preventative, would this be then an opportunity for the city, a city like ours that does not provide those services directly, to partner with an agency such as Marion County that does?
Perhaps so, yes.
Something, some
Right.
scenario like that?
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? Councilor Herrera?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just curious to ask Chief, the opioid situation in Kaiser, has that been steady or has it been going down or up? No, I'm just curious because I know that it was quite a problem here.
How's the guy even know anymore? It's not even illegal. It's a violation. But having said that, it's held remarkably steady. I think because, generally speaking, all those people who are going to do those drugs are already doing them. There's still pressure upon crime, specifically theft from abusers of opioids and other illicit drugs to use them and feed their habit, which at some point you become such a user you can't hold down a regular job. You end up having to do illicit things. But the wheels haven't come off, at least not yet. And frankly, I'm going to leave it there.
Thank you. Good question. Any other questions? Okay. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, delegating authority to city manager and city attorney to negotiate agreement in connection with national opioids litigation.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, delegating authority to city manager and city attorney to negotiate agreement in connection with national opioids litigation. Discussion. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just was wondering if we needed to specify in this resolution, city manager pro tem or interim or something other than city
I
manager?
specifically left it as city manager. This will not likely take place during the interim spot, but I will take this opportunity to mention the interim city manager is regular city manager. I would not anticipate that we use the term interim city manager. It's just, he will have all the full powers and duties of regular city manager. It's just the term of his office is limited. So I specifically kind of use that title.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. That was my question. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. Item 8C, interim city manager update. City manager pro tem.
Madam Mayor, City Council, I am smiling really big, you just can't see it right now. I am pleased to give you an update on the interim city manager. The city has received 2 applicants for the position. We did partner with the Mid-Willamette Council of Governments. They reviewed the applications and verified that the applicants met the minimum requirements. In addition, they did a ranking based off of the job announcement, city council short-term, long-term goals, also some identified upcoming potential projects, areas of emphasis that may rise over the next 6 to 12 months. Based off of that review, 1 candidate rated higher. I'm pleased to let you know that Wes Hare, who is the former city manager of the city of Albany, is recommended to move forward. The recommendation is based off of the Mid-Willamette Council of Governments. In addition to my recommendation, the HR director and city attorney recommendation as well. Next steps, if the council wants to move forward with this, is give us the okay to start performing the background and reference checks. We'd also like to schedule an informal meet and greet with the city council, all of you next week, next Monday at 7 p.m. Then if that goes well, we'd like to move forward and negotiate an offer of temporary employment. I'd like to also identify that this isn't a hiring decision at this point. This is just a approval to move forward with the process. Before an offer of employment is given, it will require city council approval. So with that, if there's any questions.
Thank you very much, and yes, we could tell you were smiling. Any questions on the staff report on the position for interim city manager? Councilor Day.
Maybe this is first a question for Mr. Johnson. Does the city manager work for the city council?
Yes. The city manager is a charter officer, as am I. Works directly for the council.
And so the city the city councilor, the 7 of us are responsible for employing the city manager, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. There were 2 candidates that submitted an application. Okay. Interim. Why wasn't the city council, who's responsible for hiring that person, why are we not being presented with their applications if we're the ones responsible for hiring the interim city manager?
Well, I'll go first, and Tim or Michelle can join in if they wish. When you get to the regular city manager, permanent city manager position, there'll be an incredible amount of vetting and very much involvement by the council in that choice. For the interim city manager, we only had 2 choices, and we've already gone 3 months with the city manager pro tem, a month past the projected date. If there were more candidates, we would, I don't want to say stop, but slow up the process perhaps, and do a more deep dive into it. In this case, it appeared with only 2 candidates. The one appeared appropriate. We reviewed it with the mayor as required by the resolution, because the council did give deference to the mayor in terms of delegating that to her. And so the thought was to move forward now with the preferred candidate. The council can surely, if they wish, and tonight would be the time to do it, say, we'd just like to hit pause a little bit and look at both of these fully and look at a different process in terms of interviews, et cetera. And you're certainly welcome to do that, and that's a council decision to make.
Okay, I have another question, Madam Mayor. So I see in here that the plan is that there's going to be an informal meet and greet. Is there ever going to be a formal meet and greet?
Well, again, I don't know, Michelle or Tim want to weigh in. I would call it formal in the sense, we call it informal because it wasn't going to be a private interview. It will be an open council meeting. You can meet with Wes Hare. He can give you some thoughts in terms of his background. You folks can ask him questions.
I know Wes Hare.
Okay.
I do. I'll be blunt with everybody. I'm not a fan.
So that's a choice on how council wants to handle that.
I had to deal with him once, and it wasn't a very pleasant experience for me. So when I saw this, and it looks to me, and this is something that the council's discussed before, that decisions, important decisions that are specifically delegated to city council are being made outside of city council.
Well, I would question that too. The decision is actually yours, is yours tonight. This was a recommendation of staff. The decision can only be made by council. This is, as you may recall, when the issue came up, the resolution was passed, council indicated the mayors to work with staff on the process. The mayor can't vet who's going to be city manager. Mayor can't decide, the staff can't decide. The council as a whole can decide, and that's why that decision is before you tonight. If the council wants to hold up on the process and look at some different candidates, you're certainly welcome to do so. That's the decision of the council.
So if I may weigh in, this was something that I was tasked to move forward with. I did, and Council President Smith and I met with Mr. Wood and Ms. DePina. No names. We were presented the qualifications of the candidates. Just on the whole, we didn't get any names or any specifics on who they were until we looked at the qualifications. And in my opinion, the qualifications of this candidate were significantly more than the other candidate, and I could not recommend the other one going forward.
I understand, but that's a decision that the council needs to be making, not two members of the council. We set the process up, but it was supposed to be something that all of us were going to be doing. So that's, anyways, I'm done.
So as I understood the resolution, am I not understanding it correctly, that the resolution was that I would be tasked with working with the staff on this process?
On the process.
Right, and the
Not
process,
the selection of the candidates. The process.
the process,
Right.
which is to bring the recommendation to council.
No, that's not the process. The process is, how are we going to get as many candidates as we can?
Right,
All right, and then the council, all 7 of us who are responsible for hiring this person, who's going to be setting the direction for the community, all 7 of us are going to supposed to have a say in that, I thought. Okay, instead, we've got 2 applicants, one of whom we have no idea who it is, the other one is Mr. Hare. We, as a collective group, this was not done in a team fashion. 2 people apparently made the decision. 2 people on the council made the decision, apparently.
to bring the recommendation to council.
To bring this one. But I haven't been allowed to independently review the
Both.
2, both, correct. Which is my responsibility as a city council, which is all of our responsibilities as a city councilor. I mean, that's just, it is. Our job collectively is to hire this person. So our job collectively is to review the applicants. I don't know how much more clear it could be.
I don't disagree. I'm going to go to Council President Smith and Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm actually going to turn to Ms. DePina and Mr. Wood on this, because we actually had this discussion in the meeting about what this is. This was a quicker way, but if we did not agree, hopefully you can explain it, Michelle, because I think that you did a very good job of explaining the process, because we were concerned about that as to how this works. But the timeline of how to do it, it's still wide open is my understanding. So could you explain that for us, please?
Yes, as we discussed it, we looked at, we were relying on the recommendation of the COG. We only did get 2 applications. That is not atypical for an interim role. You have to keep in mind that there are very few folks out there that actually have the experience to do what we've asked for. We said that we wanted someone with more than 10 years of experience and someone who has been a city manager in the state of Oregon, and preferably someone who has prior interim experience. The person that was recommended by us was the only one of the 2 candidates that had prior interim experience. Both had more than 10 years of experience, but the person recommended again had higher scores, not only by us, but by the COG in all of the categories that we presented. So Part of what we did with the mayor and the council president was, as the mayor mentioned, we just gave the laundry list of here's the differences between the two candidates. And we did acknowledge we could go forward and do an interview process with both. Some concern about how long it would take to do that because this is an interim role that we need to get someone into immediately. Some discussion about the fact that not all interim candidates are going to want to go through such a lengthy interview process. That was part of our conversation too. And agreement and confirmation to the candidate themselves that nothing is final until the council decides to move forward. So although we've had some preliminary conversation with Mr. Hare, it's been made very clear that until the council makes a final decision, we're not moving forward. So that's where we are tonight. I would tell you, as Kathy also mentioned, and Shannon, Mayor Clark, I'm sorry, and Shannon, our city attorney, that our full process for filling the regular status position is going to be a national search with an executive recruiter, involves panels of interviews, including the public and the city council and all of city leadership. So quite a different process for that, filling that position.
And if, there are some other cities that are going through this process right now, both on the interim and then they're going to be going into or are already into the national search. Can you talk to us a little bit about what their experience has been as you did some research on this process?
There were two other cities that I spoke with, both a little larger or a little more populous areas than us. They just went through this process. They both just hired their city managers. I don't think one of them's even on board yet. The first one ended up with their an in-house person being in the role for, I think, 6 to 8 months before they hired an interim. The other one hired an interim and had to extend it for a little while because their first recruitment failed. In both cases, they did not go out and do an open search for that. They relied on communicating with the League of Oregon Cities and city managers around the state to find retirees, for example, who were willing to take on this role. So what we are doing here is not atypical for filling an interim position.
And then the cost and the steps as you outlined for the permanent position, a process that I went through recently with the Council of Governments. Mm-hmm. Again, the national search, the professional recruitment agency, and then the panels and so forth, that's far more involved, and we're going to be bringing in the community, the city leadership, and the council at every step. And the interim is going to actually help in that role as well, working with our city leadership, and then very likely with the Council of Governments, the Willamette Valley COG.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Councilor Herrera was up next. No.
I'll do him first. He's better looking.
Perhaps we should have a discussion about that.
No discussion, you win.
So,
My apologies.
Ms. DePina, you mentioned that there was a large laundry list of things that they were using as criteria to come up with the person that you would recommend. Do we get to know what is on that laundry list?
The majority of the things that were being evaluated were actually in the recruitment announcement itself, which you guys all got a copy of and was posted online for a while. I can certainly, I don't think I brought it with me, but that can be provided. The other information was a short list of focus areas, which included leading the charge on filling the city manager position with city leadership and the council, taking back employee disciplinary issues and hiring, which had to be transitioned to council because of the pro tem position not being able to do that, interface with the city council, including supporting new work groups such as the community diversity engagement and housing disparities and barriers to home ownership in Keizer. Policy issues, LIUNA bargaining, which is in progress right now, property transactions that may come back up in the next 6 to 8 months, specific community development topics such as the UGB, economic development and job creation, which are portions of the former community development director's position that were to be taken on by the city manager, and potentially Little League related items.
Okay.
But the primary focus was what was actually in the job description and the, as I mentioned, the minimum qualifications for the position.
Okay. Counselor, can I go Counselor Herrera? Counselor Fuller?
Yes.
Okay, Counselor Herrera, my
Thank you,
apologies.
Mayor. You know, Councilor Day actually makes a pretty good point in terms of, because I didn't know, I was kind of left, I thought I was the only one out of the loop on this, because I didn't know any of the criteria or anything. And while I do feel that it's very important that we're intensely involved in the city manager, as far as the interim, I would have liked to have known a little bit of what was going on. That does kind of it kind of hits me kind of weird, because when I read it at first, I thought, wow, I didn't know any of it. I just figured it was out of the loop on this one too. But I trust our city leadership, I guess, but I think it's important that we keep us in the loop, at least, on what's going on. I know it's temporary, 6 months or whatever, or even, 9, is that correct?
The hope is 6 months. The RFP that we're hoping to put out is, the goal is to have a new city manager, a full-time regular status city manager by the beginning of January.
I didn't even know that COG was involved until I read the report. But I thought to myself at the time, I thought, well, it'd be cool if we would have known some of this stuff, being that we are responsible.
Councilor Herrera, I believe we referenced the COG
I read that. No,
as
I'm talking about-
partnership in our recruitment announcement itself, so that folks would
I get that,
understand.
but I'm talking about some of the stuff that we are learning now, and that would have been nice. But my biggest point is to make sure that we are involved in the recruitment, or when we hire a city manager, a permanent city manager.
Absolutely.
So I just want to make sure that that was not going to be something that, and I think it's important that we have a diverse approach to that as a city. And I just want to make sure that we, when Councilor Day said that, I started thinking, wow, that's what I was thinking earlier, but I didn't really think it was a big deal. But honestly, there is a feeling of we could have, I thought would have been a little bit closer to that, but that's okay. As long as we are there as far as the permanent city manager, that's one that really important to me. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks for bringing that up, Councilor Day.
Thank you. Yes, all of the information, the recruitment, and that information was sent to all of the city councilors. Actually, I believe it went to all Kaiser, if I remember correctly, Mr. Wood. So it went to all of the council, all of the people who subscribed, and to the press. So that was out there for public record for everyone to open and read through. And we wanted to make sure that you knew what the recruitment requirements were, what we were looking for the interim. I know from talking to other mayors, looking for the interim is a delicate one, especially since generally speaking, the interim is not a candidate for the permanent position for a couple of reasons. One, you don't want the interim helping direct the qualifications and recruitment toward him or herself. And you also want somebody who can come in and, hold that position, has the experience to keep things going in a positive manner while going through the recruitment process. And anybody who's done interim work knows that that's a specialized skill. So with that in mind, that's what the information that was sent out to all of us in this process. Okay.
Madam Mayor? if I
Councilor
may.
Day.
Thank you. So I just want to be clear, there was a question about the number of months that the interim city manager was intended or expecting to serve,
Correct.
and we were told 6 months?
6 to 12.
6 to 12.
6 to 12 was in the recruitment. That's correct.
So I have a real problem with the fact that we don't know who the other person is that information was kept from us. I understand that the COG did some scoring and you guys did some scoring and that's great. That's fantastic. If I'm the one who's going to be held accountable by the voters, by the citizens of this city for my decision to elect or to appoint a city manager, I ought to have the ability to have a say in who that city manager is, whether it's an interim city manager or not. We're a team. We're all equal. But that's not how this feels to me right now. This doesn't feel like 7 people made a decision. It feels like 2 people made a decision. Now, I trust your judgment on this as a general rule. Like I said, I've dealt with Mr. Hare, okay, in my other life. I don't trust him. I'm just going to say that. I don't trust him. And that's my problem, is had you consulted me, I would have told you, oh, yeah, I don't know this guy, but I do know this guy. And let me tell you what my experience with him was. And he almost cost the city of Albany hundreds of thousands of dollars. And let me tell you how that happened. He wouldn't listen. And it wasn't until another attorney told him not to do it. This is what bothers me about it. And how do I know that this isn't going to be the process we're going to use to hire the full-time permanent city manager? I don't. Because the only process we've used is this one.
Well, fair enough. We have talked about what we're going to do for the permanent recruitment and the national search. And we do have examples, but that's not really what we're discussing right now. We're discussing the recruitment and hiring of an interim city manager and what the next steps are. So at this point, we do have scheduled time to meet with Mr. Hare next week. And it's an opportunity for the city council to meet with, ask questions, and make a determination if we want to move forward or not. So it is going to be up to all of us to make that determination if we want to interview the second candidate or try to reopen for another recruitment. And that's going to be the other option, is to declare a failed recruitment and go back out again. And I would remind us that there are, and we can also look at the qualifications if there are things that we can change in there. But the experience that I've observed is that these do tend to take between 6 and 12 months, and it really depends on the market, who's available, who we reach at the right time, if they're ready to make a move, those sorts of things. It makes a big difference. Last year, it was a pandemic that took the interim position at the COG and went from a few months to a whole year. Now, I'm hoping we don't have anything that drastic again, but we have to bake that into the equation. That's why the 6 to 12 month, because we know stuff happens in the process. So I believe at this point, our decision is to go forward with, whether or not to go forward with the meeting next Monday. I think that's already set. And then we can make a decision from there, or help me with the next step here. Mr. Johnson.
Well, Tim.
Mr. Wood?
Go ahead.
Okay, well,
Okay.
obviously the motion in the staff report is just a suggested motion. The council can make any motion they wish. So if the council doesn't want to move forward with the meet and greet, they can pass a motion to indicate they want to go a different direction, either start the recruitment over for interim city manager or look further at the 2 candidates in more depth, which may, delay the matter. But if that's important to the council as a whole, that's the council's decision. So the suggested motion in the staff report was based on the discussion between Tim, Michelle, and I, and the mayor, based on the resolution the council passed. But you're certainly free, and that's the point I wanted to make earlier when Councilor Day brought up this issue. The decision is now. That's the decision is how you want to approach this. So it's up to council now on how you want to do it.
So I think that the options are to move forward with the appointment, or to do a interview, or to declare a failed recruitment. I think those are our three options, are they not?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You say move forward with the appointment, rather than just move forward with the process of the background check, the meet and greet, and
Right.
then the offer? So
And I think-
we're not appointing quite at this point.
Right, and I think that's where the recommendation goes a little bit sideways in the first line, says move forward with the appointment of,
Now, you're the one who said move forward with the appointment of.
but I just read the top line. In the recommendation. Says one of those options, and I don't think we're ready for that because that's what, I'm a little confused with the recommendation. It says, mayor and staff recommend the council move forward with the appointment of Wes Hare as interim city manager.
Yeah.
This would be to move forward with the next steps to look at the background reference checks and scheduling a meet and greet to make but a final decision will not have been made. So I'm a little confused.
Well, the motion certainly could be changed. I understand the idea, move forward with the process, and you just take out appointing Wes Hare. Just say of appointing, of reviewing perhaps would be the better word. Because you're right, the appointment doesn't take place until you actually approve the employment contract.
Right. So I think that got the cart before the horse.
Right, I think the word probably would be reviewing.
Just-
Wes Hare as a possible interim city manager would probably be better.
Mr. Pina, you had a suggestion?
I was going to say you can just strike the word appointment and write the word review.
Okay.
It should solve the issue.
So that would be one option, is to review, move forward with the process of performing background check, reference check, scheduling a meet and greet. And then the other option is to set up formal interviews with both Mr. Hare and the other candidate, or the third option is to declare a failed recruitment. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There've been a number of times that I've been involved in hiring people, and not necessarily is the one with the most experience the one that we really need. And so I would think that we should have the opportunity to look at the other applicant also.
Okay. Councilor Herrera.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Is it too late in the process to, like, it would have been nice to see, and I understand had the resolution, I understand that, but it would have been nice if we could have met both people, being, all of them.
It isn't too late. That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, well, I would like to. I think it'd be kind of good for everybody. That way we can assess from our own. Although it's only maximum of a year, I think it's important that we, I would like to check them both out. So I would be in favor of that.
Okay. Councilor Reed?
I'm just wondering logistically, again, keeping in mind that this is an immediate need. Could we, it says this one's tentatively scheduled for June 14th at 7. Could we do one at 6 and then one at 7, or is that not logistically?
I'm gonna go to Mr. Pina.
I have no idea if that's logistically possible, because obviously we've had no conversation with the second candidate about their viability to come, and the first candidate is not anticipating an interview process. So I would have to converse with both of them to find out if that's viable.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wait, did I just hear her correctly? The first candidate we're not going to interview Mr. Hare?
It was a formalized interview process with prepared questions for both candidates and
No.
going through the formal process.
No. they haven't had contact with the second candidate, whomever this person is, which means that the only conversations they've had is with Mr. Hare. The only conversations they've had with Mr. Hare, according to Ms. DePina, have led Mr. Hare, apparently, to believe he would not be subject to a formal interview process. That's what I just heard.
Yes,
Has nothing to do with the second applicant.
understood.
It means that somebody told Mr. Hare we weren't going to be interviewing him.
We were not doing a formal interview process, which is different from a meet and greet, which is more informal, where we have conversation, and we ask questions that we want to have answers to versus having a prepared set of questions that have to be used, and only those questions in the interview process with both candidates. Did I explain that right? Okay. So what I'm hearing is support for a formal interview process. Am I reading that correctly? Let's put a motion on the table and find out where we stand. Council President Smith, Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to put this in some context, I guess. Some city councilors are appointed. Some positions are, especially temporary positions, are appointed, and that is not an unusual practice, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
And so as far as the appointment versus the interview, what is the most common in these cases?
From my knowledge and talking to, again, 2 other cities who have gone through this process, it is not typical to go through a formal interview process. Most often, temporary positions are appointments, sometimes and many times not even including a formal recruitment notice such as what we sent out. It would have been a more informal inquiry across the group of people, like through the League of Oregon Cities or various COGs, who are aware of city managers who are retired.
Thank you. So I just as a follow-up, so it seems that the misunderstanding really is just the process by which interim and other temporary, it seems just kind of a misunderstanding as to what the norms are in as far as city government and what the usual processes are. Again, being fully assured that the final one is going to be a formal interview process and so forth. So just, again, norming this process, this would be more in line with what is generally done.
Council Reed, I appreciate you bringing that up. I would have to say to everyone, we've never done this before. I mean, we're all trying to figure this out as we go, and the very first calls I made were to the League of Oregon Cities asking, how is this done? What are the resources? Do you have any tools to provide to us? And when I made that call and I asked for their assistance, I was told that they had a group that they could send an email out to find out if there was any interest. And it was from that email group that I learned of one of the candidates, but we determined it would be appropriate to send an announcement out and make sure that we have an opportunity to let anyone who might be out there qualified and not in this group be able to express their interest. That still meant, though, that we were trying to move quickly and follow the norms that had been identified to us, so it was a tough balancing act.
So, Madam Mayor?
Follow up?
So just as a follow-up, we did already do more than what is usually done in these cases in terms of opening up this process.
As far as I can tell, yes.
Thank you.
Was this also put out the listserv for the City Managers Association?
Yes.
And other organizations that had managerial level experienced folks?
We put it out through the League of Oregon Cities and any place that we could find that was appropriate to that, keeping in mind this is a very select group of folks that we're going from. It's not just all managers out there, that you had to have been a former city manager in Oregon. So we put it to every group that we would have any ability to connect with those people.
Okay. Thank you. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The other thing I picked up on the conversation that I had with you is that exactly what you said, we don't actually have a process for this.
No.
So what would be the timeline to, and you said the meet and greet was better because we didn't have to have the exact same questions. And how long would it take you to prepare an actual set of interview questions that would align with the law and such for if we were to go with the formal interview?
When I do a formal interview process for a position at this level, it usually takes a couple of months to get all of the particular folks that are involved agreeing on what is going to be the set of interview questions. When we do this, for example, with a department head recruitment, it takes a couple of months because we not only get it from the council, but the city leadership and members of the public. So we come up with usually 2 or 3 sets of questions based on different areas of interest, working with the community, working with the council, working within city leadership. And we usually have 3 different panels made up of those groups, and all 3 of those panels are equally weighted as far as where they land after they do the interviews and make their final recommendations.
Follow-up?
So if we were to go with the formal interview process and it was going to take an additional 2 months, would that put undue stress on any other individual employees that are currently picking up the extra work?
I think a number of department heads could probably respond to that, but Tim, of course, is the city manager pro tem, has the most workload. The city attorney, myself, and all of the other department heads are taking on additional work, as well as many things are essentially on hold right now until we have an interim city manager.
Thank you.
Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So essentially, we would be asking somebody to go through a 2-month process for a probable 6-month job.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilor Duran.
So I've been involved in executive director with the chamber multiple times now, and it's definitely a lower position, and it has taken a long time to get to a point. So I understand that. So the way I see it right now is we either look at both of the 2 applicants, or we choose the one that has been brought up, and we wouldn't be in this position right now if Councilor Day didn't have an opinion on this one. Is there anything that we should be aware of that other than the one incident you had? I don't know, is this the time?
I don't know that this is probably the time to discuss it, but.
Just in generalities,
It was advancement of a city policy that would cause substantial harm to my client, and it wasn't until several, at least one other attorney got involved on the other side and said, you can't do this. He didn't care, from my perspective. I tried, he didn't care. He didn't care that this was gonna cause substantial harm to a business in the city of Albany. Like, put it out of business. Could care less. City council, this is what they wanted to do, I could care less. And that, it is mind-boggling to me.
So, Councilor Duran, I'm going to interject here. While this is helpful information, I believe that this probably should be held in a conversation where we can have the question and the candidate can also respond from his point of view as well. I think in all fairness that we need to hear both sides. And I know that Councilor Day completely agrees on that. Then that's a fair question to ask in the meet and greet, where we can talk about, is this a deal breaker or for us or not, from as we hear from this individual, because there's also pieces that we have not yet received in terms of the other experiences this candidate has, which is why this candidate was brought forward with the 30 years experience. So I think that there's some additional conversations, some really good questions that can be asked, so we understand where this individual is coming from and what their experience has been and what it can be for the city of Kaiser, and is it a good fit? Because I think at the end of the day, that's the question we have to answer. And again, the 6 to 12 month period as we transition to full-time. I'm going to let Councilor Reed ask a follow-up, and I'll go to you, Councilor Kohler.
I just also wanted to point out that part of this process that we could be approving tonight is the reference checks. And, you know, things like that would come out in reference checks. It's not just a background check, but they're reference checks. And I assume those would be done by Mr. Pina then? So, you know, and would you be open for input on specific questions for those reference checks? Or if we had particular things we were looking for?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's another option that we have as far as our input in this process.
Thank you. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As I sit and ponder this 6 months to a year, there's a lot of stuff that can happen within a year. And I think it's important that we look at both these candidates to make sure that on that short term, yes, a lot can happen in a year. And I just think it's important for us to be doing our due diligence to make sure that we have done everything that we can to make sure we're doing what's right for Kaiser.
Okay. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. But the question, I guess, becomes, do we need to do these in a formal interview kind of situation, or could we do both of these with meet and greet and have both of these things, both of these process happening on either side? So,
Councilor Reed, I can answer that question because I posed that question for legal advice, and we cannot. If we have 2 candidates we're moving forward with, we have to do a formal process.
Thank you.
Yeah. We asked the question too, because that would have been where we we could accomplish both goals, and yeah, we got a hard no on that.
Okay, good, thank you, good to know.
Okay. Council President Smith, are you in a position to put a motion on the table for us to debate?
I move that the Kaiser City Council direct staff to move forward with the process of reviewing Wes Hare as interim city manager by performing background and reference checks, scheduling a meet and greet, and if there are no questions or concerns, negotiating an offer of temporary employment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council, you have the language. Okay, change it to review. Got it. Okay. To move forward with the process of reviewing Wes Hare as the interim city manager by performing background and reference checks, scheduling a meet and greet, and if there are no questions or concerns, negotiating an offer of temporary employment. Discussion.
I have one.
Councilor Duran.
If we go through this and we approve this and we decided we wanted to do a formal interview, could we still do it?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as both candidates are willing to do that, yes.
We had anticipated that after the meet and greet, if we move forward with that on June 14th, that on June 21st, if there's any specific questions or problems, we wouldn't have it on as an agenda item, but if you had one, or in the interim, offline, you let us know, hey, we want to put the brakes on this and do something different. So, you always have that opportunity.
Great.
Okay. And I've got one more question, and seeing the full resume from Mr. Hare, will that be sent out to us?
That can be provided at any time.
To go with that decision-making, I would request that that be sent to us as soon as possible. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, signify by saying no.
No.
Noes, hands. Okay. Motion passes 5-2. The noes are Day and Kohler. Okay. We are going to go now to the consent calendar. Council President Smith, would you please read the item on tonight's consent calendar?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have a resolution A, Authorizing chief of police,
Oh,
not do that. Resolution authorizing the chief of police to enter into police firearms range use agreement with the city of Dallas. B is resolution authorizing the city manager pro tem to enter into an agreement with Hicks Striping and Curbing, Inc. for repainting of pavement legends. C is resolution authorizing the disposition of surplus property, police department vehicle. D, resolution approving employment termination. E, resolution accepting and approving plan for placement of historical Kaiser school sign at Schoolhouse Square. F, approval of May 17th, 2021 regular session minutes. G, approval of May 19th, 2021 joint city council planning commission work session minutes. And H, approval of May 24th, 2021 work session minutes.
Second?
oh, wait, we have to see if there's any polls. Any polls? Okay.
Hold
I
on.
don't hear any polls. I'm sorry, Councilor Kohler.
Can we poll F, please?
Yes. Any other polls? Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council approve the consent calendar items A, B, C, D, E, G, and H.
Second?
The consent calendar items A, B, C, D, E, G, and H have been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. Councilor Kohler, item F, I'm sorry. F is in Frank.
Whatever the letter was.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Foxtrot.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We need to amend or modify the record that says call to order. Mayor Clark called the meeting to order at 7 p.m. That's pretty hard for her to do if she was not here.
That is quite true.
Good catch.
Okay. So this will be as amended?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Council President Smith?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council approve consent calendar item F as amended.
Second?
Consent calendar item F has been moved and seconded as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes unanimously. Other business, this time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council not on tonight's agenda. Mr. Wood. We've switched it around. They go first now.
At this point, Ms. Davis,
I have nothing, thank you.
Chief Teague,
Reminder that National Night Out is on this year.
Woo! Microphone.
There you go. Just a reminder that National Night Out is on this year. It'll be Tuesday, August 3rd, which is just ahead of the Irish Festival festivities, which are also happening that following weekend. We'll have some registration up on Facebook, hopefully as early as this week. Thank you.
Mr. Witham,
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
Mr. Lawyer,
Nothing for me tonight as well, Tim, thank you.
Ms. Pepina.
Actually, Bill does have something, I'll share it with you, and that is we're opening a recruitment tomorrow morning for Municipal Utility Worker 1 for the Parks Division. So if you know anybody out there that might be a good candidate, please make sure they see the recruitment and get their application in.
Mr. Johnson,
Nothing tonight, thank you.
is there any additional questions for staff?
Councilor Day.
Mr. Johnson, I received a letter dated June 2nd, 2021 from a Deneen Consoli, an attorney with Parker Lepore, about parking violations at Hidden Creek Drive Northeast. I know that this was sent to Mayor Clark, Councilor Kohler, Councilor Herrera as well, and was wondering what, if anything, it's a threat, basically it's a threat that they're gonna sue us if we don't start enforcing the code. I was wondering what is going on with this.
Yes, I'm in contact with her office, and I told her I'd get back to her on some details this week. So I'll let council know how that goes.
I just wanna make sure that we stay on top of it.
Yep. Councilor Herrera.
Yes, I want to bring this up. June is Pride Month, and I was approached by some neighbors that asked if we would be able to fly a pride flag, and I thought that would be a good idea. I consulted with, in fact, I brought it up to Council President Smith, and then I had some discussions with Interim City Manager Woods, and I wanted to know what would be the process to actually have that happen, and maybe even put it on our reader board or something to recognize our LGBT community during this month of June Pride. And I think it would be a very, I was telling Tim that if I walked into a city hall in another city and I saw a pride flag, I think that would send a message of inclusivity, being that we have put out a value statement that talks about inclusion, part of our community. This would show exactly, we would be walking the walk if we could do that. And I want to know what the procedure was to get this council to approve that, so we can do it just during the month of June. They actually bought a flag and brought it to my house. They were ahead of the curve and everything. They told me, well, we'd have to get a flag. And they go, we'll buy one. So in my discussions with Tim, we wanted to make sure that I went through the right procedure to have that happen. Hang it out, just one flag for the month of June in recognition of our LGBTQ community. And basically, if you don't know what Pride Month is, it's just a month to recognize accomplishments. And the way somebody put it to me is a freedom to be themselves. And I think it's very welcoming, and it's the right thing to do, in my opinion. So I would like to see what the procedure, and how can we approve that and move forward.
All right. I do not know the proper protocols for flags, so Mr. Wood.
This is largely a policy decision for you folks. We have several options of things that we could do if you so choose to move forward with something like this. Really, we're looking for a policy of what type of flags would we fly, what kind of recognition would we do for different groups, what groups would be included, that kind of a thing. So is this just going to be associated with things that are recognized on a national basis, Black History Month, Pride Month, those kind of things. We do have some options if you do decide to move forward with a policy type of decision. We could cohabitate another flag on the flagpoles out in the front of the building. We could put up a flag display inside the building somewhere. We could put up an area and have different groups from the outside when the National Month comes along. We could have an area designated that they could do decorations in that area. So it's really wide open as far as what the potential options are. Really just it's a policy decision on what we allow and what we don't allow.
So one of the things we've talked about for our community engagement group has been talking about recognition for different groups, the achievements and the contributions, because the state recognizes Black History Month, Asian Pacific Islander, Pride Month, Hispanic Heritage Month. Those are the four I can think of right now because they are all represented by organizations with the Oregon Advocacy Commission's office, OACO. And I thought that would be a good place to start where if we invited people to help us, especially through the community engagement group, be able to put together what would be educational displays and things that would help build understanding and build community involvement with that. We also have other statewide recognized months, for disability rights and breast cancer awareness and so forth. But we also have specific, groups that we could look at through the community engagement, bring us back some recommendations on how we could take this opportunity and create that space where we can have on a rotating basis to be able to build understanding throughout the year with different groups, or to help promote the historical Native American indigenous peoples. I think that would be a fantastic opportunity to partner as well, to bring in some historical and community engagement. So that's my thought. Councilor Herrera.
Thank you very much. Madam Mayor, I would have liked to see like a resolution to, in recognition, but I would be, I'm just responding to a request from some neighbors, and I thought that would be a good thing. So I want to move forward, whatever, if I have to do, do I have to put something forth in a help me.
A motion?
Yeah, motion, yeah, thank you. I'm drawing a blank here. Do you have to do a motion to move forward, or where do we go from here? Because we are in the first week of June already, and I'd like to, get it done and show folks that we mean it when we say we're inclusive. So that's where I'm at on that.
Well,
Where do I go from here?
So I have, Councilor Kohler.
Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We talked about this last year, if I remember right, or the year before, but we talked about this, about flying a flag. The time we talked about it was about on the corner of Lock Haven and, not Lock Haven, on Chemawa and River Road. We talked about that, and who would be able to fly what flag where and when and all the rest of these things. I have no problem with working with the Arts Commission and having displays here in the building like we've done in the past several times for different groups. I have no problem with that, but I think if you say, well, we're going to fly a flag, I think the hard part gets to be, well, who gets to fly one and who doesn't? And I think rather than make that decision, I think we're better off to have a display that's here for a couple weeks or a month or whatever it is, and let us have a public display in our building, right? That's a better way to go than to fight about whose flag we put up and whose we don't.
Right.
Yes, go ahead and respond, Councilor Herrera, and then I'll take it to Councilor Day.
Well, the reason I say is because June is Pride Month, so that would be the flag, the appropriate flag to fly that. It's not a big deal. It's very inclusive, and it's something that it shows our community that we're inclusive, that we put a statement of values and we mean it, that we walk the walk. We don't want to put a statement out there in a couple of weeks, not show inclusivity. We want to show that everybody's welcome in our community, and that's how I feel. And during the Black History Month, we'll do that. During whatever, June is Pride Month, so that's what I'm focusing on. And it was a request from a citizen, and I just listened to what they have to say, and I agree with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Day?
Thank you. The problem we run into with doing these types of things is that turns, I'm going to take off my counselor hat and put on my counselor hat. That turns that street corner, although it arguably already is, into what's called a public forum for First Amendment purposes. If we start allowing people putting flags up, making statements as a city, we have to allow everybody. And I mean everybody. Okay? So, because we're not allowed to discriminate based on viewpoint. I don't care if it's a national month or not. It doesn't matter. If one group wants to put a flag up and we say, okay, great, and another one doesn't because we don't approve of their message, guess what? We're in trouble. Not anyone else. We're in trouble because we're discriminating based on viewpoint. That's the problem we run into. Okay? Is that if we go down that road, just like what Councilor Kohler said, that's the problem we run into. I mean, I'd love to see breast cancer awareness flag flying there. That'd be great, right? Or disability rights, or whatever it is, LGBTQ, whatever, okay? My concern about that is once we open that door, it doesn't get closed. And then we got to start letting everybody.
I don't understand what that means. I don't get that.
What that means is that if you're going to display one type of flag there.
What's wrong with that?
It turns it into, because we support that perspective. Okay, what if somebody
What do you mean
wants,
support that perspective? I don't get that.
what if, well, you just said that demonstrates inclusivity,
That's right.
okay? Well, what if somebody wants to fly a Confederate flag up there?
That's not even a fair comparison. I mean,
No, yeah, it is. You're not
Confederate flag?
understanding. Would you agree to fly a Confederate flag up there?
That's a whole different.
Would you? Yes or no?
No,
Why not?
because that's a
'Cause you
a flag
disagree-
that represents nothing to do with America
You
now.
disagree with that viewpoint, right? Because you
So-
think that viewpoint's
You think-
idiotic.
So you're saying that having a pride flag is a viewpoint that people will disagree with? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
what I'm saying is it's a viewpoint.
It's not a viewpoint, it's a real, it's people that live in our community.
It is a
that
viewpoint.
Which should be recognized.
It is, I'm just saying, it is a viewpoint. It is an opinion, it is a point of view. It is a perspective.
It's
It
not
is a-
perspective, it's who people are.
It's a statement. You're not, yeah, that's, the fact of the matter is that if we say you can fly a flag, a pride flag, or whatever flag, and not somebody else's flag, and it doesn't matter whose it is.
We're not talking about that, we're talking about Pride Month, June, and it just shows inclusivity, it shows that we have folks that
I'm
celebrate
not
that.
disagreeing with you about that. What I'm saying is
But that has nothing to do with heart, and cancer, or nothing like that. This is people that live in our community. They want to celebrate Pride Month.
great, guess what? Okay, the problem is the government cannot pick sides. We
We're not picking
can't.
sides.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, my
You
goodness.
just said you were.
All right,
You
time out.
just-
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press pause. This is where we have to watch how we use our public resources for, we cannot regulate content on public
Right.
property. So by doing a display or some means of being able to celebrate, Pride Month, Black History Month, Hispanic Disability Rights Month, and so forth, we have to have a means by which we can do that without violating First Amendment. And I know this is hard to understand. When I was working, when I was on the board of directors for Capital Community Television, we ran into this all the time because we could not deny access to the channel based on content, whether we liked it or not. And we had to be very, very careful because the Oregon Constitution is stronger than the US Constitution on this issue. So what I would like to do, I appreciate the heart, I appreciate the message. Absolutely, yes. There's nobody here that's disagreeing with you on that. What we have to do, though, is run it through legal to make sure that how we set this up, make sure it doesn't open a door or we can't say, or we can't make a decision on how we are going to express the values of this community or have our public spaces used in a way that would be detrimental to the values of our community.
Well, I find it interesting that Councilor Day would compare putting a pride flag for the month of June with a Confederate flag.
Whoa.
Back
I
up the
did not
train.
say that.
Well, you said that.
No,
You said
no.
that, then why
Councilor
should we?
Herrera, no.
Why couldn't we put a?
Point of order. I did
Moment.
not
We are not
say
in
that.
court.
That was not a
That completely
comparison.
misrepresents what I said. What I said was, you cannot pick what goes up there and what doesn't. Because if you do, you're picking sides. You're picking a viewpoint.
That's incredible.
Well, that's the law. And guess what? You don't get to do that.
Okay.
As a government, we don't get to do that. And do not misrepresent what I said, because that is not what I
You
said.
did say that, then why would you asked me if I would object to putting a Confederate flag up there. And that's a comparison, because I was talking about a pride flag.
But I did not know, what I said was, I didn't say they were the same.
It's on tape.
What I said is, they're viewpoints. And you can't
It has to do with
discriminate.
viewpoint. It's people.
So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to stop the discussion here. It was supposed to be illustrative, and that was under, it was to make a point that we don't get to regulate content.
I don't
What
get
I
all the
would recommend.
barriers. I don't get the barriers.
I know you don't.
Okay.
It's
that's
very,
fine.
I understand,
That's
it
fine.
is difficult, because with the First Amendment, we don't get to choose, so we've got to be careful about how we use our public spaces. And I know that's one of the reasons we have a Public Arts Commission, is for that very reason, is to give us that degree of separation between the content of art that is selected by the commission and they recommend it to us, versus us having to regulate content, which is where we end up on a very slippery slope. That said, may I recommend that we ask staff to come back with a process and whether they would recommend this or to go to the community engagement committee to look at how we can celebrate within our city the achievements and these the state designated recognition months through the year. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to point something out. You guys kind of went two different directions there. The actual conversation was about getting a display case or something internally here that we can do those things with.
Right.
And that's actually what Councilor Herrera and I had discussed on the telephone. Then there was an example brought up about the flag over on the corner, which we are not discussing. That's not going to change. We've already made that decision. That wasn't part of that. We're not going down there and doing that. We're trying to find a way to recognize these different events within the city of Keizer inside here, because I believe that that was what you were saying was the best option, would be like a display case or something. So I think it's very appropriate to move forward with the city staff to come up with something, whether it be we can reserve one of the display cases from the Arts Committee or have them help us with that. But you guys were going in like two separate conversations there, because that actually was not what we were discussing, was putting that flag on there. Or any flag, because we have the three, and I think we just kind of stick with that, don't we?
Yep.
So,
Yep,
just want to clarify that's, we were talking about coming up with like a display case, and I still think that's a great idea.
Okay. Or it's educational, and we can do more there. We can also talk about art and displays, educational and informational materials as well. So with that, do we want that to come to, I don't think 2 weeks is enough time to put that together. I think that's going to be more the community engagement. And let's put together a more comprehensive policy that will be surrounding that, so we can be equitable in how we
and that's what they're
do that work going forward.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting a head nod from Mr. Wood.
Yeah, we can work on that, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for bringing that opportunity to have this conversation. Okay. Staff updates. I think we just did that. Correct. Okay, so city council member reports. Councilor Duran, can I start with you?
I don't have anything.
Okay, Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One of the things that I did was attended the roundtable meet and greet and the town hall with Jeff Merkley this last week. And just some interesting things that were brought up there is Project Turnkey, which has to do with purchasing older motels to accommodate vulnerable folks in terms of housing, is very much in line with what we've been doing with the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance. And so it was good to see that there is some federal backing for that, I guess, and some possible resources there. He also mentioned that both he and Senator Wyden are working on passing a bill to improve forest management. That came up quite frequently as a concern in that we are looking at another potentially severe fire season, and that's an ongoing problem. And so anyway, it was interesting to see that. And then also, I was interested in this bit. Somebody asked him about the daylight savings time update, since we all voted for it, and yet it is stuck in Congress. And he said that there has not been any specific action done on it yet, but he assured us that he would look into that and make sure that got put back on the forefront, because yes, as far as I know, California, Washington, and Oregon all approved that through voter measures, and it has yet to be approved by the federal government, and so there's no update on that yet, but he will be looking into that, which I was interested in. So a couple other things. There are schedule changes afoot for the district based on research. High schools will be starting an hour later. Middle schools will be starting even later than that, and the elementary schools will be starting earlier. So that is more commensurate with all the educational research, and that will start next year. And oddly, this is one of the things that came out of COVID as far as a benefit. We had to do things differently in COVID, which kind of opened the doors to do things differently in general. So that was, I thought, very good news. Graduation is this Wednesday, and we are having 3 sessions at Volcanoes Stadium. at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and 2 o'clock. And so look forward to doing that. Again, it'll be different, but it will be excellent, I'm sure. There are 2 weeks left for everybody else in school, and we need to make sure and finish strong. On another note, last week I attended the Kaiser Homegrown Theater's Revolutionists, which is live theater happening again, and it's thrilling. And it's on the patio of the Kaiser Heritage Center, and it goes for 2 more weekends. It is a fantastic show. Really high quality, clever, lots of things to think about. If you are interested in tickets for that, you can buy those ahead of time on either the Kaiser Homegrown Theater page, or Facebook page rather, or their website. And again, a really fantastic event. And this July, they're going to be doing the complete works of Shakespeare in the same venue. So these are houses of, well, we're setting them at 40. We kind of came within 7 people of selling out last weekend, and so this weekend we're bumping it up to 50. But anyway, so the complete works of Shakespeare will be going the 2 middle weekends of July. So that will also be fun to see. And also, kind of along the lines of what we were talking about earlier, this Saturday will be Kaiser's first LGBTQ plus Pride event. And this will be held in the park by Fred Meyer. And there'll be various community organizations with booths and so forth. So that is a way we can celebrate the achievements of that community. And that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. It's so nice to have live theater back, just getting people together in person as well. Thank you. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It looks like this week I've got Parks Board tomorrow, and I am covering the VCC for Councilor Kohler. And I just am very glad that you went on vacation and nothing happened. It was a really great day. That's all I got.
Yeah, I like that thumbs up when I said I had landed in Oregon, so. And with that, I also want to say thank you very much for covering on the May 17th council meeting when I had to be absent. Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We had Marion County Public Safety Coordinating Council executive meeting. This also the Oregon Latinx Leadership Network. I had a St. Vincent's dual language board meeting and a CBL executive board meeting. There's a Pride Fair right here in Kaiser and I want to kudos to Claire Schneider for putting this together. She's an amazing volunteer. It's from 12 to 6 right here at Gazebo. So there's a lot of folks going to show up for that. It'll be good. And
What day?
Saturday.
I thought that was the one that was down in the...
No, it's right here at Chalmers Jones.
Okay, that's not the information I have.
There's another one too in Salem.
Well, this is one Claire's doing too, though, is the information that I got.
Well, that's the information she sent me.
Yeah, so double check, I guess, is the good news. I thought it was happening somewhere.
It's all good. And congrats to the graduates, from Mary graduates. We have a lot of folks that we have been watching over the years, and of course our Latino students that got our scholarships. I want to congratulate them. Also, I want to send out the congratulations to Olga Cobb, who was hired as Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Instruction. She's a longtime school district employee and a good, very great educator. Also, thank you to Kyle for working, the young man named Kyle for working on the Country Glens. He did an Eagle project over there for Country Glen. He did a great job. The whole community went out there and did some work. Also, congratulations to the school board elected Maria and Pressy Hinojosa, who's on our Parks board, actually a recruiter for that, and her and Karina Guzman were elected, as well as Osvaldo Avila, and Karina and Maria were part of our Capacas leadership. They were real well educated and ready to go, and I'm so proud of them. They finally are going to be making a difference. Also, last but not least, I wanted to thank all the folks that have helped with the volunteers that are under the radar that do a lot of work. The Courtney Aarons of the world, and Claire Schneider again, there she goes. But I really appreciate that because that doesn't go unnoticed. And happy Pride Month for all those celebrating. this month of June. Thank you. That's all I got.
All right, thank you very much. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Of course, we did have planning commission since our last meeting. And on the 22nd, we had the Claggett Creek Watershed Council. Again, special thank you to Mark Callier and the junior AF ROTC from McNary. They did a lot of work over at the Wallace House. And then on 522, there were 2 local cemeteries that were spruced up for the upcoming Memorial Day. Jason Lee Cemetery by the Kaiser First Ward, or the Salem First Ward, and Claggett Creek Cemetery by the Clear Lake Ward. There was an incredible amount of work that was done by both those groups, and those cemeteries looked a lot better. And Councilor Reed was there also. Of course, we had the work session we attended, and then the June 1st, I attended a follow-up for the Kaiser community dinners. Last month, we served 463 dinners on a takeout basis. June 23rd, they're going to do a takeout dinner again. And then on July 28th, remember to put on your calendars, we will be serving the dinner for that month. The Stormwater Advisory Committee met, and then I met with Group Salem for Refugees, and we talked about some of the things that we may be able to do. And Chief Teague, thank you for following up on the neighborhood night out.
That was awesome.
That is it.
Yep, all right. Thank you very much. Councilor Day.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one thing, congratulations to all the McNary graduates. I also want to congratulate, obviously, the Blanchette Catholic School graduates. There are many students that go there who are residents of Kaiser. You're not forgotten, and all the other graduates who may be attending other schools, including my son Logan. And also, there's a CTP school. CTP stands for Community Transition Program for special needs students, and they're holding their graduation this Friday as well, and Saturday, pardon me. Congratulations to those graduates. That I don't have anything else.
All right. It is graduation time. That's so exciting. I only have a couple of things to add. Again, thanks to Council President Smith and all of you for keeping everything moving forward in my absence. And just a couple of things. I did want to ask, I hate to put Shane on the spot, were you able to be part of the DLCD community conversation on rulemaking? I had a schedule conflict come up and I was not able to attend that. And Councilor Jan, you were on that? Do you want to let people know a little bit about that, maybe where they can get more information online?
Sure, yeah. Yes, I was part of that community conversation while I was holding the baby in a backpack and cooking dinner all at the same time. It was amazing. Zoom is miraculous sometimes. But yeah, it is a rulemaking process that's going through the state to implement Governor Brown's order on climate change and greenhouse gas reductions. And so there's kind of it's pretty complex, so I'm not going to go too long, but there is a ton of information on the DLCD, which is the Department of Land Conservation and Development, on their webpage. And it's basically looking at land use, transportation planning, kind of how those things connect. We've talked briefly about it at some of our other meetings. I'm actually part of the Rules Advisory Committee. It's a huge Rules Advisory Committee with I think it's 100 people all over the state. I know Councilor Duran was attending that meeting, and I believe Planning Commissioner Herb was there, and it was quite a few people, so I didn't see everybody's names, and I wasn't in any of the breakout rooms with them specifically. But one of the things to kind of really be aware of for us as a community is out of this rulemaking, there are going to be some changes to the way we do transportation planning. And one of the most specific things that's going to be coming to the forefront at some point is some requirements to do scenario-based planning within our regional area. And Mayor Clark, with you being chair of our Salem Kaiser Area Transportation Study. Yes, I got them right.
You did.
So with that SCATS group, I think there's probably going to be some future conversations because SCATS is clearly a little different and not, the state can't tell SCATS what to do, but there's kind of this rational nexus that kind of lives amongst it. So I would encourage anybody in our community, but especially people who have a bent for land use and things like that, take a look at some of the information. They've been putting out quite a bit of info. I don't know if they have any surveys up right now that are live, but through the process, they have had some of those as it's gone. It's kind of on a hiatus for a couple months here. And they had hosted these community conversations in different regions in our state over essentially the month of May. So I think we're going to reconvene into the Rules Advisory Committee late summer at this point. So hopefully that answers a little bit at least.
It does, it's helpful. Councilor Duran, do you have anything to add on that?
Not really. I did enjoy some of the breakout sessions, but just getting different people's perspective on things. But it was very informative, and there was a lot of information that we can get on their website if you're interested.
Well, and knowing how they're going to, through this process, bring all the elements together, because up until this point, a lot of this work has been siloed. You have your transportation planning, you have your land use planning, you have your housing, and everybody's been saying all along, these all interface. You pull the lever on one, you're pushing something on another. And you've got to make sure they all align and work in harmony with each other, or you're going to create all sorts of unintended consequences. We've seen that with economic segregation being worsened as we've kept cities like us from being able to produce enough housing, for example, pushing more and more people away from where they work, and yet saying we can't build more road capacity because people aren't supposed to be driving. You can't have both. So unless we build transporters, and I'm all for that. But it's really important to make sure that we are thinking more globally, more systemic, more about systems. I think that's what that executive order was trying to get at. Thank you for bringing up about SCATS, which is Metropolitan Planning Organization. I do chair that. And yes, the state cannot tell the MPO what to do because it's federally mandated, not state. It's the Area Commission on Transportation that reports to and was created by the Oregon Transportation Commission. And they have no statutory authority to actually allocate funds for transportation projects. The MPO does. But working, they finally realized that they can come to the cities and counties to change how they do their land use planning, to be able to get that scenario planning they want regarding the greenhouse gas targets that they want us to start working toward. Whether or not they're achievable, I don't know. Whether the variables that they're trying to put in place are going to achieve those goals again. I've never seen data that would indicate that they know that that's actually going to make a significant difference or not, but I think that's part of this process, is to figure that out. In the meantime, we still need housing. The only other thing I want to bring up is coming up, the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance. The full board will meet this week on Thursday. The executive committee met last week. City of Salem just announced that they got 2 more projects, funding for them for transitional housing, which is fabulous. That is one area where we have a significant need. And Council President Chris Hoy of the City of Salem has done a fantastic job with their strong staff, working regionally, again, with our service providers, Marion County, and our continuum of care to bring on not only facilities, but also the services that need to go with that, so the people who are being served are served comprehensively and effectively. So very excited about that going forward as well. And then the last thing I'll bring up is on I'm on the legislative committee for the Council of Governments. We've been meeting every week, mostly throughout this legislative session, watching some of the bills that are moving through. There's a couple of them on water systems that the COG is helping to support, because it's going to benefit not necessarily Kaiser specifically, but our region in general, in bringing in and funding water, wastewater projects for our area, which is only good for not only housing, but also economic development. So that is all I've got. Oh, Councilor Herrera, you forgot something.
I almost forgot, thanks. The biggest thing I was gonna say tonight was congratulations to a local Kaiserite who plays for the Oregon Ducks and was named the Pac-12 Player of the Year. And his name is Aaron Zavala, he's the son of David Zavala, who is one of my guys. I'll tell you what, that is amazing. He was named All-American, second team. Last year he was third team All-American as a third baseman, this year as an outfielder. And boy, I tell you, you will not find a nicer young man than Aaron Zavala, because boy, I tell you, he's already broken 2 records with the Oregon Ducks, and he was raised right here. And every time I look at that picture of him when he was that big, right by me at the Little League fields, I feel really proud. But anyway, that's I wanted to end with that. And sorry I stole your thunder there, Chief, but but that is so awesome. I mean, they're playing right now, and hopefully they're winning. I've got the game recording, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll move on. But
Do you want me to look at this?
It's funny because Councilor Day and I, we have these we bump heads sometimes, but we get along really well. I just want folks to know that,
Oh, I love it. I really do. I really love it.
But as far as sports goes, boy,
He's wrong.
That's never happened before. A guy from Kaiser winning the Pac-12 Player of the Year. That's amazing.
Pretty amazing.
That is
That's
fantastic.
huge. So whether you're a Duck fan or not, Aaron is from
Yes.
right here in Kaiser, and so I'm so proud of him. Thank you very much for allowing me to say that.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to celebrate the accomplishments of these fantastic young people from Kaiser. Congratulations, and please tell the officers of Olive, we're very happy for him. I'm sure he's busting every button. That is awesome. Okay, agenda input, next Monday, June 14th, 7 p.m. Work session will be meet and greet with candidate for interim city manager, Wes Hare. On the 21st at 7 p.m., we will meet in regular session, and then on July 6th, which is a Tuesday, we will meet at 7 p.m. in regular session. July 5th is a holiday because the 4th of July, Independence Day, falls on a Sunday. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
I just had a quick question.
Councilor Day.
Not familiar with how things ordinarily run. Do we take a break during August? We keep going forward? Okay.
We tried that once and we paid for it dearly. This is before I think any of you were on council, so one time we thought, this is a really light agenda. We'll just roll it into the next one. Oh, that was not a good idea. The next meeting was brutal. So we said, no, even if it's an abbreviated agenda, you never stay short because then it goes to 2 hours. But that's a good question, and the answer is, no, we really don't dare. And hopefully we'll be bringing on an interim at some point. We're going to probably have to keep things really moving along as we're moving through, moving the next fiscal year, and also the changes in the state regulations from OSHA regarding the pandemic and other issues such as that. So stay tuned. We got more work ahead. All right. Okay. Anything else? Ms. Davis.
Were you going to read the names of the letters that received?
Thank you. I skipped that page. Thank you very much. I do want to acknowledge under public comment that we received letters of several letters that were the same from the following individuals, none of whom identified as being a resident of Kaiser. This was in regard to, quote, say no to the Salem Casino. This is reference to this less tribal development that they are working on their proposals for. We have not had a work session on this issue. Between May 18th and June 7th, we received letters from Denise Pierce, Sheila Kolofsky, Jill Peterson-Misko, Amanda Syverson, Mary Bushling, Kim Daly, Tanner DeJong, Diane Dawson, Elizabeth Grant, Bruce Armstrong, Debbie Lane, F.D. Lopez, Brenda P., she didn't include her whole name, so I think we have to drop that one. Donalda Spite, Myrna Ibarra, Hector Ibarra, Steve Ajee, Audrey Ajee, Jan Schofield, and Elizabeth Fielding. We also received an additional letter on the same subject, but it was individual content, and that was from Kathy Sprague, and I do not believe that she identified a city of residence either. So none of these have identified as being a resident of the city of Kaiser. So that's all in for the record. At some point, it will be appropriate to have a work session on this particular proposal from the Sluts tribe. We have not been contacted by them at this point, and it is not in the city of Kaiser, but it is going to have a regional impact should they move forward. We did comment 2 years ago. I'm looking at the city attorney and Mr. Witham. You remember Mr. Witham?
I think it might have been less than 2 years ago, but it was at least a year ago.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when, but I know that Nate was still here. So it was more than a year ago. And I think that was when the tribes filed their initial proposal with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, because I believe there's a request for comment of cities within a certain mile radius.
Correct. And there were a few issues that we did comment on. One was on workforce housing, another one was on build out of the traffic, especially the interchanges. And I remember if there was a third issue, but those are the two that come to mind. But as they're moving forward through their process, there will be public outreach and they will be asking us for additional comment. So I just want to let folks know about that. And if you have additional questions, please let me know or let Mr. Witham know, and we can follow up and see if we can get that information for you. Thank you, Ms. Davis, for reminding me to do that. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, the time is 9:34. We are adjourned.